all you high vibe humans, Breezy here, and if you didn't know, you're in a higher vibration now, so welcome to Shine Online. Thank you for joining me today. I will be leading a workshop on dialogue with your inner child. The goal of this workshop is to teach you how to use dialogue with the intention to connect and heal the inner child by really healing those emotional blocks and triggers from your past. We're gonna do this in 3 easy steps just to summarize our strategy here. First, we're going to identify an event, a trigger, or an emotional state that needs to be addressed. Next, we will reflect on the loving action that needs to be taken in order for healing to take place. And finally, we will use a technique that you can use in your daily life to connect and heal your inner child. So let's get into some brief history so that you kind of know where we're coming from and why it is important to connect and heal with your inner child. The inner child is a real concept, and it is based in psychology. The inner child is not a whimsical metaphor, it's not a foo-foo hippie idea, it is a real psychological construct. This is a psychological complex that exists. It is real. Psychologists over the years have called this construct different names. In the Jungian perspective, this inner child is often referred to as the eternal child. Freud and Jung pointed out that this inner child dwells in the realm of unconsciousness. This is the unconscious part of ourselves where memories and events are stored. So, both Freud and Jung pointed to an unconscious part of ourselves, a realm within our memories that holds our childhood experiences. So psychologists look to this realm to explain many behavioral, emotional, and relationship difficulties. Oftentimes, true adulthood revolves around addressing these complicated complexes that have developed as we've grown older. True adulthood hinges on acknowledging these emotional, social, and relational triggers. So many psychologists who work in the inner child realm acknowledge that true adulthood hinges on the very powerful act of addressing, acknowledging, accepting, and taking responsibility for parenting your own inner child. What is dialogue with your inner child? This is the process of taking your past self and caring for them in a back and forth conversation. This is very different than just talking to your inner child. There is a connection that is made. This connection is made between the now self and the past self. And this is more powerful than a one-side conversation. One thing of note is that in this process, you want to write it down or speak it aloud. While you are having a dialogue with your inner child, you can't just mentally do this practice. It's very helpful to write it down. It's very helpful to speak the words out loud. What makes it powerful? It's that act of simply tuning into yourself, listening to yourself, and allowing yourself to absorb what you're hearing or what you're seeing on your piece of paper. It allows us to see whether we are truly being loving and caring towards ourselves. Oftentimes, we don't notice when harmful thoughts come into our perspective, when we start to rehearse that negative narrative of our lives. Sometimes we don't notice when those negative thought patterns creep in again. The process of dialoguing out loud will be very beneficial in acknowledging when those negative thought patterns arise. So now that I've summarized a brief history and given you some tips on what dialoguing with the inner child is and why it is important, let's identify an issue. So start to think about an event or a situation or a moment in your past that may have seemed hurtful. Oftentimes, these moments can revolve around art or dance or self-expression. They can also revolve around asking for needs to be fulfilled. Needs such as love, belonging, and even acceptance. So think of a time, gently, I invite you to gently think of a time when it was difficult for you as a child. I'm thinking of a time when I was singing and my sister told me that I didn't sound very good. As a child, that hurt, and I acknowledge how I'm feeling. You can think about a time when you were anxious or scared, sad, or depressed. Briefly, take time to identify the problem. So, as a child, I felt shame that I could not sing very well, and I stopped singing. That was the problem, was that because of that situation, I stopped singing. Now, decide what nurturing words you're going to say to your inner child. Decide on the nurturing words or behavior that needs to take place in order for healing to occur. For example, if a childhood event of embarrassment happened, reassure your inner child that they are lovable, that this event is not causing them physical danger, and that they will make it through. I can reassure my inner child that singing takes practice, and you can keep singing. Continue to sing as if no one can hear you. So decide for yourself what kind of loving, nurturing words your inner child needs to hear because of this past event. I want to reassure my inner child that don't let nobody tell you what you can't do, because when you put your mind to it, you can do anything. And then envision how your inner child reacts to that. They might come up with more tears of sadness or frustration, or they might burst into laughter. How would your inner child react to your loving action? And be sure to write down what you say to your inner child, and be sure to even practice out loud like I did just now. So while we are reflecting on the loving action that needs to be taken and we're writing it down, continue to just write out ideas that pop into your mind. Continue to write from your adult perspective towards your inner child. Tell them what they need to hear. Giving you some time to do that. And while you're thinking about that, take a deep breath to allow the healing process to really settle into your body vibrationally. If you're having difficulty really connecting with your inner child, let me briefly define what a nurturing adult might look like. A nurturing adult is someone who can be open and honest and loving in a gentle way, using a gentle tone of voice like I'm using now. A nurturing adult understands that a child has good reasons for how they are feeling, even if the child doesn't understand those reasons yet, even if that child can't identify the feelings that they're having. A nurturing adult understands that those feelings are happening for an important reason, and that it is imperative that that reason be uncovered to help the child heal. So a nurturing adult is there to be open, understanding, and with a listening ear, give the child an environment that allows them to heal. So now that you've written a few words in the adult state, tune into your child state. In the child state, write a response to your nurturing, loving adult. You can use your non-dominant hand, I'm using my left hand, in order to really create more of an impact and connect more with the inner child mentality, using your non-dominant hand. Speaking out loud, you can try to envision and embody your inner child. Also, looking at a photograph of yourself when you were younger can help you put yourself into your childlike state. And this will help you authentically respond to your adult self from your childlike state. So tuning into your inner child, briefly write or say out loud what a response to your loving adult. Moving forward with my example from earlier, I don't really want to sing anymore because I don't want my sister to say anything mean to me. And then, as you write down the response from your child, you can almost automatically feel your loving adult responding and wanting to care for that inner child's feelings. Briefly write down your breadth and depth of emotional state currently. This also helps the healing process. Be sure to take a moment to reflect on how your child self reacted to your adult self. And then move back into your adult state and allow yourself to respond from your adult state. Write and emphasize the feelings that you understand what the inner child is explaining, that you truly understand and feel how they feel. Now, continue this back and forth dialogue for as long as is necessary or as is needed. This process is for you to heal and uncover things for yourself. By doing this process back and forth, you will continue to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the childlike state, into that unconscious realm where the child dwells. Practice will allow more behavioral, emotional, and social issues to come to the surface and allow themselves to be healed. The loving adult really understands the listening process. So in this back and forth state, in this back and forth conversation, in this back and forth dialogue, it is important for the adult to remember what true listening is. We want to listen with the intent to understand what the inner child is trying to communicate, not with the intent to automatically respond and make things better. The goal of listening is to understand the person and let them know that they are understood by reflecting back to them what they said. So I hear that you're anxious about singing in front of your sister because you might be hurt again. That kind of reflection communicates you understand why your inner child is feeling the way they are feeling. If the child is feeling angry, allow them to release their full amount of anger. If the child is sad, let them cry a little bit and listen. If the child is feeling angry, let them release this anger. You can do so by crying or screaming or writing it out, or even grabbing a pillow and punching that pillow to help release that anger. If the child is feeling sad, allow them to cry. Allow them to feel that sadness. And once that sadness subsides, tell the child the truth about their beliefs. Tell the child the truth about their false sense of self and negative thought patterns that they are rehearsing. Tell the child that they are lovable. Tell your past self and your now self that you are worthy of love. That no matter what you say or do or have said and have done, you are still lovable and you are continuing to be a lovable human being. So finally, let's go over some tips that you can use in your daily life. This process is one that you should do by yourself and give yourself some time to dialogue and go back and forth in order to get that practice and go deeper into your psychological states, to go deeper into your psychological unconscious self. Practice is one way that you can do that. Now, throughout the day, we also experience a myriad of emotions. We experience many emotions throughout the day, and we can use this practice to discover where those emotions come from and if our triggers come from our inner child. So if we have a moment of embarrassment in front of the office at work, is that connected to a past event? And if we address that past event, will this current event seem as impactful? Will it seem as charged energetically? So when daily events come up, how can you dialogue with your inner child? There are usually two places that you can go in order to find privacy: the restroom and your car. These are two guaranteed places that you can go to no matter where you are in human society. And you can find some privacy in order to briefly dialogue with your inner child. Once you find a safe, private place, tune into your inner child and briefly ask if there is anything she or he wishes to communicate, wishes to say or do in this moment. You can also see if there's anything special that your inner child wants to pay attention to throughout the day. Sometimes I get the overwhelming urge to really enjoy unicorns, and I let myself enjoy unicorns. Today I decided to do my makeup a little different because I wanted to play, and I wanted to really fulfill my inner child's desire to play with makeup. The other day I wore some really fun jewelry on my ears in order to really express myself and express the joy that my inner child was feeling. I wanted to show that in my expression. So tuning into your inner child throughout the day, asking them if there's anything special that they want to do, or if there's anything special that you as the adult should pay attention to. For example, if you have your own children, what would your inner child want you to pay attention to? This practice is also just very helpful in tuning into your inner child and reassuring them throughout the day. So if you've had an embarrassing moment, you can reassure your inner child that you will recover and that everything will be okay. So to review, the inner child is a real psychological construct. It has roots in our unconsciousness, and it's based off of those past events and emotional triggers that we've been carrying around inside of us. Many psychologists look to this unconscious emotional realm to help heal all of our relational, social, and emotional triggers. And that true adulthood hinges on acknowledging, accepting, understanding, and healing all of these triggers from our past. Being able to understand how we were hurt as a child and how that hurt influences our interactions daily is a very powerful tool that we can use to become even better humans. One of my favorite phrases is to save the world one person at a time, one adventure at a time. And we can only do that if we are able to save ourselves. I am able to heal myself and move into a space where I can better serve those around me because I have worked on healing my inner child, on healing other aspects of myself so I can better go out and serve my community. And I hope that this was beneficial for you as well so that you can heal those aspects of yourself that prevent you from truly participating in the world around you. So to review, we have learned how to address an event and use a dialogue with our inner child by assuming a nurturing adult state and by communicating to our inner child those loving actions that need to be said in order for healing to take place. Rehearsing this out loud and writing it down is very powerful. It helps us acknowledge that we are truly talking in a loving way to ourselves. And it helps us recognize when negative thought patterns creep into this dialogue. Practice and rehearsal helps us to understand how we can go deeper with our inner child and how we can truly continue to root out those emotional triggers and blocks that prevent us from truly participating as an adult. And finally, you can use this technique in daily life in order to address your child and really express yourself truly in the way that you want to express yourself. Oftentimes, when we were younger, we were told that an artist or a musician or a true believer had to be a certain way. I'm telling you that you were told something false, and that it's time to really root out those negative thought patterns, those negative beliefs about self, and step into your personal power by walking with your inner child into a new future for yourself, a brighter future for yourself, a more creative and fun future. If you feel like you need more connection, if you feel like you need more assistance, or like you want to connect more or in different ways with your inner child, I am available, and you can connect with me at my website, www.goldengaian.com. I hope this was beneficial for you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for tuning in to Shine Online. Shout out to all those other high vibe humans making music and making workshops and making magic happen. We're in this together, one adventure at a time, one person at a time. We can save the world. So until next time, high vibe humans, or until the next Shine Online festival, stay healthy, stay light, and don't give up the fight. Breezy, out.